Welcome to day 11 of my attempt at Ark HARDCORE. And that day has started off with a bang, as I challenged the local Alpha Raptor with his pack. I spent a minute trying to dispose of his cronies through the area of effect that my RG's beak attack somehow caused, but the Dimorphodons were particularly persistent. Fortunately enough, I was positioned in a way that mostly prevented me from taking damage due to knockback on the Alpha Raptor, and eventually what remained was just me and him. That is, until the Tickle Chicken arrived. How rude. I couldn't knockback cheese something this big, so I decided to lead it away. That interruption wasn't about to stop me from acquiring my alpha trophies. It merely made it unnecessarily lengthy. For some reason I aggroed a bunch of Mega Neuras. You never know how and when that happens. What mattered is they were quickly gone, and I got a good angle on that Terrazino, until it knocked me off of it, and proceeded to outdamage me into fleeing. One thing I always forget about those things is that they can also damage the rider. Bet who's not gonna remember to be more careful next time. So back to the action. I sat on that rock, hoping it was gonna lose aggro. But it didn't. At least not until it swiped at the rock I was sitting on a couple of times. I flew away since I was scared it was gonna manage to get up there somehow. But then I looked back, and it looked like it finally lost interest. And thus, allowing myself to believe that, I returned to the Alpha Raptor that fell the stego despite being by nature of code incapable of eating it. Good for me anyways, my RG could definitely do with some regen back then. All that was left to do is slightly shift my positioning so I had the high ground, and then I could start knockback chipping at this extremely tanky but overall weak enemy. Let me speed it up a little bit, as to radar, it was tanky and you probably don't want to listen to it scream for 5 minutes. Rest in peace, Compy. And so it was done. I got some recipe and even good crossbows. Not as good as my Christmas event bow, of course. Other than the alpha claws, the rest was pretty much junk, but still worth it for the XP. After checking out my loot in a bit more detail, I scouted out a random Rex that already had its jaws full with stegos and decided to ruin its day just for the fun of it. All it took is one hit for me to score the kill. Thanks, random stegos. But now, moving on. I continued flying around for a while, checking out local terries and seeing if any of them had a decent level to tame, and disposing of any flying pests that dared to interrupt me. Yes, I am speaking about this singular Dimorphodon specifically. The fact that it didn't die in one strike like the seagulls from previous episode was particularly frustrating. And on top of that, none of the terries were worth anything in terms of boss fodder. That's a waste. I wasn't even well enough equipped to go genociding their population for now, so I'd have to wait a while before purging them for new to spawn. So I decided to go rob this beaver's brand new dam instead, like the prehistoric bully that I am in this game. To avoid killing him, I just had to get him far enough away and enjoy my free cementing paste. After my bird has some rest, of course. I flew back and there it was, a beaver dam completely unguarded. Or was it? Of course, count on the ants to butt into my business. At least that's some chitin in case my pants break again. Time to break that dam so the beavers can get to work again. I gotta admit it, this is a real good amount from this one. After that, I set out on a journey back home. I knew that the only option of finding more possibly good boss teams would be to explore until I would consistently and quickly be able to kill the bad terries I already found. So I had to prepare. That, and I had to put away the aloes that I've collected in the cryopods overnight. And probably get yellow instead of the RG to be my exploration flyer, for the speed factor alone. Finally, there I was. Letting Miranda out of the cryo, I had to wait a little bit to release the other one, so I occupied myself meanwhile, making sure everyone got food. Fortunately, the RG collected plenty of meat, so that wasn't a problem. I also checked on the metal progress, and it almost doubled since last time. So far so good. I only needed more fuel since it was put out. I immediately went to address that issue, even though the second round got me awfully encumbered, and this speed up probably looks almost normal as a result of it in its final parts. Yep, that's how slow I was going. But after I was finally able to put the wood into the forge, I could be sure it was gonna smelt for a long while. I turned myself to other matters, like clearing the junk out of my inventory. It didn't take too long, but being disorganized as I am, I could have probably done it more efficiently, so pardon me about that. I also had to put away some resources waiting down my RG, which were too heavy for me to move with, but not to throw somehow. Ultimately, I checked what I was lacking for the plant tree platform, and it turned out not much at all, aside from a crap ton of wood and fiber. Perhaps I could even achieve that today. I decided at last that obtaining a sickle would be plenty convenient for that purpose, to not have to deal with constantly full inventory of berries that I'd have to throw out anyways. Oh, and I was also out of cryo cooldown, so there you go, Josh. I made Miranda share some food with his girlfriend, and after that went to unload the metal off of my RG. As always, having a little bit of trouble with parking in tight spaces. Never mind that though, with that metal smelting, I was finally free to go explore. So I took yellow and flew off. Doesn't this just feel so much better than flying on the RG? This footage isn't even sped up. Yellow is just so fast. But of course I couldn't possibly leave the base without forgetting about something, silly me. So I came back around, grabbed my trinks and finally left for real. My goal was to get to the green obelisk while surveying the area along the way. I knew the center of the island had a lot of possible good spawns that I would want. If only it wasn't so far away. The weather was extremely gloomy and I wasn't really seeing anything I'd like to engage with over the swamp. And boy, was there a lot of swamp to fly over. I'm just glad that I've taken yellow on this one. I continued flying, just trying to, enjoy the journey. Luckily I leveled this PT in a way that allowed me to not need many rest stops. I could take in the very swampy landscape and speed onwards until arriving at that one metal and crystal mountain where I could sit down and regain my stamina a little bit before moving on and stumbling into the biggest mutant bug in existence. I initially wasn't even sure if what I seen was real, but it was right on my tail when I checked. A whole Rhyniognatha. And it was shooting at me, so naturally I flew away as fast as humanly possible, hoping it would lose aggro, because I've never actually fought this kind of thing before and I had no idea what its power level would be. I only heard it was faster than wyverns, and that sounded bad. I was outspeeding it, however, only it was still on me, no matter how far away. I knew, however, that I could still count on it getting distracted if I led it through enough random dinos that it could classify as prey. So that is exactly what I did, and voila, I could see it right over there getting busy with some rando. It was really good, as otherwise I would be out of stamina really soon trying to lose it. Hopefully I won't aggro it again on accident. Now that it was out of my hair, I could continue on checking local dinosaurs for signs of boss potential, which so far I haven't found. But I just couldn't get that unexpected bug encounter out of my brain. It was just so fascinating, so rare, you know. I've played quite a lot without ever encountering one in person. I needed to make sure I knew exactly where it is, and I needed to find out more about it. I had only the roughest idea on how it is tamed, that being parasitizing dinos, which didn't sound easy, but if here's the opportunity, then could I really just pass it by? The answer was, of course not, but at the same time I was in no way prepared for it, so I shifted my focus and waited until I could Google more information to do anything about it. Meanwhile, I occupied myself with something I knew how to do, looking at dino stats and disposing of the ones I felt I had the power to kill. Like this Baryonyx, for example, that healed itself only to die anyways. I checked out the Spinos, but wasn't risking a confrontation with that on a PT. There was, however, another Barry to dispose of. After that, my curiosity got the better of me, so I paused the game for a bit and looked up rhino breeding. Apparently, I needed a pheromone from a male. Why didn't I check the gender of this bug before? Time to fix that oversight, I thought, and as I returned to the obelisk, I got a little bit too close for comfort. You see it over there? There was no reason for me to get any closer, but I did, and I got spooked. Fortunately over nothing, as it seemed to be aggroed on something else when I looked back. I popped out my spyglass and tried to zero in on it, to find that it was in fact a male. So I needed to kill that thing, huh? I could definitely use an RG for that. This weird amber thing that it does still freaked me out too much to attempt anything on what I perceived to be a frail pteranodon. So I decided to do whatever exploring I needed to out of the render distance, making sure it wouldn't die to a random dino. As for that exploring, here's how it went. And so, with sunset on the horizon, my journey of day 11 ended on the herbivore island. Have I found anything boss-worthy? Unfortunately, I can't say so. What I did, however, find was some experience for myself, and even for Yellow, whom I so far believed to be fully leveled. Apparently not. After analyzing what I should put those levels into, I glanced at my engram list for a little while, making plans for the future. And after that, I intended to pick some fights with local herbivores for the meat. While I do that, however, let me tell you what I plan for the future of this channel. If you're one of the few people who've watched me so far, you might have noticed I have been utilizing nighttime footage videos to create rambles in which I talk about random topics or give random life advice. Now, while I still intend to do that sometimes, I don't want to force them out every time I have a boring grind footage to spice up. I don't want them to feel uninspired wherever I don't feel like I have something important to say. So they'll come out when they will, and thus prove that I'm not faking my hardcore run in moments not included in the Let's Play. I'll attach the nighttime footage as an unlisted video in each Let's Play video description and outro screen. I feel it to be better solution than chaining myself to the ramble schedule, making sure one comes out every Ark Day episode, and I hope it will increase their quality. And my new narration style. It has been a success so far, with more people seeming interested, so that's how I'll continue my videos. I hope you've enjoyed this so far, and if you did, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. See you in the next one. Bye!